Hey guys, my name is Zach, and this is CG Fistbump. So last September 2020, Nintendo has formally discontinued the 3DS family. And just to share, the Nintendo 3DS is probably one of the most memorable consoles I got to own. During its 9.5-year run, I've had more than 100 3DSs that passed through my hands. From the original 3DS, the 3DS XL, the 2DS and the new 2DS XL, as well as the new Nintendo 3DS and the new Nintendo 3DS XL, just like what I have here. I had the opportunity of buying and selling the Nintendo 3DS, and I did modification services which I had fun doing. Because not only did I get a chance to earn from it, I also had the chance to talk with several people and share similar passions, playing video games, and from time to time, playing with others as well. One thing that I will remember about the Nintendo 3DS, and most likely several people has had handled earlier on in its lifespan, is its social legacy. The 3DS brought physical social gaming to another level, with connections for online gaming improving even in a third world country like the Philippines, as well as the current COVID pandemic that we're facing in. We might not see gaming social interaction soon like what the Nintendo 3DS brought. So the Nintendo 3DS was launched around the first quarter of 2011, and unfortunately, the launch titles for it weren't really that good. It was generally viewed as a very weak lineup, something Satoru Iwata, then Nintendo president, has admitted. This has resulted to very slow sales, and Nintendo was forced to make an $80 price cut from the original $250 launch price in order to help the platform gain popularity. The move to the $170 price point, which translates to around 8,500 pesos in the Philippines, happened in August 2011, just about 5 months after the launch. This led to early adopters being given the Ambassador program, 20 free games coming from the Virtual Console. 10 of them were NES titles like Super Mario and The Legend of Zelda, while the other half were Game Boy Advance titles. Anyway, this price drop, along with the eventual release of AAA titles like The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 3D Land, and Mario Kart 7, led to more people buying the 3DS. I myself remembered picking up a used 3DS at about 6,500 pesos in December 2011, the original aqua blue color, along with Zelda Ocarina of Time, and it was a beauty to play with. The desire to get more used games led me to eventually discover Facebook groups with similar interests. The Facebook group Pinoy 3DS, which had a majority of its administrators in Manila, was perhaps the most popular, as it eventually had a nationwide following. As I remembered early on, it was the release of Mario Kart 7 that made people really want to go and play with each other in person. I mean, you can have up to 8 players on the go with this game, and not everyone really needed cartridges to play with it. It was one of the game's really neat features that made it fun to play, even years after it was launched. Mario Kart 7 went along well with one of the 3DS' defining features, the Streetpass. For those who haven't experienced it, Streetpass is a Nintendo 3DS functionality which allows passive communication between Nintendo 3DS systems, held by users in close proximity. What Streetpass does is that it allows users to exchange software content from selected games played on their system, regardless of what software is currently in the console. Using the console's background connectivity, a Nintendo 3DS in sleep mode can automatically discover other Nintendo 3DS systems within range, establish a connection, and exchange content for mutually played games, all transparently and without requiring any user input. For example, in Animal Crossing New Leaf, StreetPass allows you to show off your meticulously crafted house to other people. In Bravely Default, StreetPass allows players you have met to help reconstruct villages destroyed at the beginning of the game. In The Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds, StreetPass allows you to drop a shadow version of your Link into the other players' worlds, which could net them bonuses upon defeating them. Over the life of the 3DS, we saw no shortage of imaginative ways to make the most of this feature. All this game-specific functionality was great, but the true heart of StreetPass, the true heart of the 3DS, was the StreetPas Mii Plaza. The green grass and stone pavement, the golden archway, the water fountain centerpiece. I actually spent a lot of hours playing in the Mii Plaza at the height of StreetPass activities. What started as a simple way to interact with others evolved into something much more. You could adorn your Mii in a variety of hats and outfits. You could view your accomplishments, play music, and see unique information about those you've interacted with, such as trying to meet people with different birthdays and from different places across the globe. It was really the people at the heart of StreetPass. In the early days of the system's life, passing by a stranger also carrying their 3DS was always a fun surprise. You could see their ridiculous hats, exchange a greeting, and see what they've been playing. There was always a sense of joy from meeting a person multiple times, even if you've never seen the real face attached to the Mii. While that was really fun, the StreetPass feature also paved the way to StreetPass Events. I remember joining one of the very first StreetPass events in the Philippines in early 2012 at Trinoma Mall, which was sort of a mini Mario Kart 7 tournament as well. That was the first time I had 10 people quickly filling up my Mii Plaza. Playing Puzzle Swap as well as Find Me was enough to keep me preoccupied. Add to that playing Mario Kart and even Tekken Prime Edition, which I had at the time, while talking with several gaming enthusiasts. It was a really fun experience, and we made lots of new connections. Some of them are still friends up to this day. From that point, attendees of that mini event decided to officially meet weekly, and the original venue for that was Gateway Mall. It was a really convenient spot, being the connecting mall to two of the country's major rapid transit systems, the LRT2 and MRT3. Back then, there was an almost quiet spot at the back part of the food court, which didn't have a lot of people. We'd probably have about 20 plus people enjoying the latest multiplayer games, and this includes the already aforementioned Mario Kart 7, Kid Icarus Uprising, which was a blast especially at the competitive scene, Mario Tennis Open, Star Fox 64, Resident Evil Revelations. We also had the recently launched DS title at the time, Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, which brought in the competitive Pokemon VGC and small gun enthusiasts. And of course, who could forget the largely popular multiplayer co-op that was Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, which lured in hunters from the PSP era as well. These games, along with the growing popularity of the group's events, led to more and more people joining the group each week because there was a plethora of people to play with. Although the Philippines didn't have official Nintendo events, these get-togethers felt quite official. We had tournaments with prizes coming from other player donors, including a pool coming from registration fees in case you wanted to join. The group, however, which was also growing in number, caught the eye of mall administrators. It was the fact that people who went to the mall's food court to just eat was also increasing in number as more developments came in, which includes a video game arcade and a space for Sunday Mass. Patrons had less space to stay since players stayed for hours after ordering a meal from lunch. Since the mall got stricter by limiting the time spent in the food court after ordering a meal, the group moved their StreetPass events to another nearby mall, Ali Mall, which was really in the same vicinity but still needed an 800-meter walk from the previous mall where both rail transits are located. The fun continued there, but numbers did quite drop off a bit due to the effort required to go to the new location. Eventually, more and more StreetPass communities started building up. According to the Pinoy Nintendo website, the community has grown to more than 17,000 members and 20 StreetPass communities, but I do believe that there are more. These communities did not just appear in the country's main capital, Manila, but several Visayas and Mindanao-based groups formed as well. You had the Monster Hunter focus groups like Streetpass Makati, Auxilium Hunting Grounds, and Team Alliance. We had the Techno Friends, StreetPass SM Mega Mall, the Trinoma North Food Court Mayors, which was more into Animal Crossing. You had the school-based groups, and even ones from Cebu, Iloilo, CDO, and Davao. Of course, I won't forget the East Baseman and Friends, which met at the Santa Lucia Mall during the weekends. These smaller communities were very fun to be with, as it was more close-knitted and many people became friends because of it. For a couple more years, Nintendo continued releasing very fun multiplayer games. Super Smash Bros., Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and Monster Hunter Generations, Zelda Triforce Heroes, the 3DS Pokemon games X and Y, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Sun and Moon, and Ultra Sun and Moon, which are the last mainline Pokemon games released in 2017. Even the StreetPas Mii Plaza had major updates in 2013 and 2016 that expanded the application with more games that needed you to meet with your StreetPass friends. In these games, the more you meet with your StreetPass friends, the stronger their Mii gets when they help you out in these mini games. For example, in Find Me, the first time you StreetPass a person's Mii, they start at level 1. Encounter them a second time and they become level 2. Continue meeting them and they eventually max out at level 7. Regularly meeting with your StreetPass friends has allowed me to get all customizations for my Mii, which was really cool. The continuous release for these multiplayer games has really made people keep going back to these communities, as it keeps things fresh for everyone. But alas, Nintendo started slowing down the release of their 3DS games with the launch of the Nintendo Switch in 2017. Given the price point, not everyone can immediately afford the new console as compared to the 3DS. Of course, some people would get to buy the Switch, but it's just a bit hard crowding together outside with a smaller screen. Well, of course, that's before the Nintendo Switch Lite, which lets you have your own screen. Still, I doubt that the Nintendo Switch could quite gather communities together like the Nintendo 3DS, which had the incentive of StreetPass. With the release of the Switch Lite, Nintendo now has a brand new handheld which is at a lower price point than its regular Switch. This move has let Nintendo focus making games for just one system, the Switch lineup, instead of having separate softwares for handheld and home consoles like with the previous generation's 3DS and Wii U, and even further back when there was the Game Boy and the NES or Family Computer as it's called in the Philippines. Eventually, this focus left the 3DS in the dust, and on September 2020, Nintendo officially discontinued the 3DS after a 9.5-year run. It was able to sell almost 76 million units, which was way more than its contemporary, the PS Vita, sold. It was also Nintendo's major success in the 8th generation of consoles, as its home console counterpart, the Wii U, flopped as it only sold less than 14 million. With the end of the 3DS, Nintendo also ends the DS line, which started in 2004 with the original DS. The legacy of the 3DS is just a reminder that gaming is more than just entertainment. It's a social network. Strangers saw each other playing their 3DSs out in the world and forged new connections. These connections we bring into multiplayer gaming in the Nintendo Switch, and this would never have been possible without the 3DS. And with that, guys, I think we're done. What are your most fond memories of the 3DS? Just leave your comments down below. And if you found this video helpful, interesting, or entertaining, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, then hit on that notification bell for more content just like this. Again, I'm Zach, and this is GG Fistbump.